Okay guys, I think last time we talked about putting our tulips in a vase, or maybe we didn't, but that's what I thought we would do today. I brought a couple cards to show you of them in vases. That's very easy to do. So I've got the cards here, but then I've also got on this iPad a picture of some tulips that are in a vase. Now I've gotten them too large. Let's see if we can get that smaller so we get our tulips back. The heads back. There we go. There we go. Can you see those? They're super pretty. But that can give us a reference. And I think this time we will start with our pen first. Let's see how this one works for me today. So this time I'm going to draw the vase. Let's keep it quite large so you can see. I'm going to draw an easy shaped vase here. Whoops. And I'm going to have it be as if this is a glass vase, so that when we put our tulips in it, we'll be able to see the stems. So it doesn't hurt to go ahead and just use your lines quickly. Make your lines quick. And they're not supposed to be exact. Okay, so I hope you can see that. I hope it's dark enough. Let's maybe just try, let's try this one. It's a little darker, and I don't think it works great with water, but we'll find that out just a little bit later. Okay, so you can probably see that vase now. Put a little lip on the vase and for the backing. Now going back to this, let's bring it over here. Okay, there we go. Our visual here, you can see that we've got the shape of the tulip heads. And once we've got a bunch of these diagrammed out, we can bring some stems down. Just adding some more of these tulips here just quickly. And then once we get the heads on there, now we can bring the stems down, and all of the stems don't have to come all the way down because we are going to put some of the foliage in front. But we've got a couple of stems down, and I know that Nate mentioned that if I don't use a dark enough marker, then we can't see. So I'm trying to get it a little dark enough for you to be able to see. What I hope is that it's also doesn't bleed once I get the water on this marker. I just don't know whether it's bleed proof or not. Sometimes the leaves like to bend over a little bit. I hope you're seeing this. Looks like maybe could move this just a little bit. Okay, I'm just going to continue putting some leaves in. The leaves can be behind the stems, so that this one, the stem is actually in front. And I'm actually going to bring some of the stems down here in the vase, because our vase we decided was glass, and that means it's see-through. So we've got some of the stems here. Don't like the straight line that is. I bring some more up. I'm going to put some more tulip heads up here so that we have just a bountiful arrangement. I think I might want one of the tulip greens to just do a little bit different than it was showing. All of these are kind of the same height. There we go. There we go. Okay, so we've got our vase here, and then we've got our tulips in the vase. It's kind of a dark day, so the lighting is a little different on this, but now let's go ahead and I kind of let it sit for a minute so that if it is going to bleed, or if it needs to dry before it bleeds, then it has that opportunity to dry, and hopefully it's not going to bleed on us. So I am going to use yellow tulips. I think we're going to make them yellow with a little bit of orange on them. So I'm going to start here. And yes, the marker is bleeding, but I'm still going to go ahead and just move forward on this. So we're getting a little yellow, and there's kind of a, you can see the marker starting to bleed out a little bit here. And that's all right, that won't be bad. I just don't want the color to be muddied like that right there. So maybe I'll just, oh, see, it's really, really bleeding out on that. We'll still continue because it's still the same process. Be a little disappointed when it's all said and done and finished, but that's all right. It'll show us how to do our vase. So I'm just grabbing some color. I'm grabbing yellows, and I'm actually adding some oranges onto those. I add it into here. I wonder, ooh, that one's really bleeding out. It seems they all are, but we'll still keep going. All right, there's some orange. Sometimes I like to bring some of the color, and usually it's after, but we'll kind of try this a little bit and see. All right, so I've got all the tulips then with color on them now. Now I'm going to move on to the leaves. And I did start with my paper dry, and now I'm just adding water to my brush, and then my brush is going in the paints, and that's bringing the color to our leaves. Sometimes when the leaves are in the background, then you like to have them darker. Like this little leaf back here is totally in the back, so it would be darker. We might want to add some green to that, but this one's in the back too, so I'm gonna keep it with the darker, and I may come back in and give it a little more green. Now, I talked about my vase was glass, so I am going to see some of the stems of these tulips down here in the water. And so I'm just going to put a couple of those in right now and let them just do what they want to do there. And then we'll come back and make the vase glass. And my marker is really wanting to bleed out here, but I think you can still kind of see I brought in a little bit of yellow because I didn't think the color was spring green enough. We talked about spring green last time. Spring green's the first green in the spring, has a yellow tint to it. It's quite a bright green. I'm going to put a little more green on that one in the back. And come over here, that's quite dark. This one's in the back. Okay. There's still some nice yellow in that brush. So that's coming off in that lovely leaf. You see in this, you can see the darker greens that are in the background or the inside of a leaf. See, ooh, that's a little darker than I was thinking, but I think it'll bleed out and it might just be just what we want. Sometimes our mistakes, if we will, turn out to be the best part of our pictures. So I'm still just filling in the variety of leaves that we had put in our vase. It's really disappointing that our marker wants to bleed out so much, but I'll put just a little bit more green down here. Okay. We might want to go back in and paint some of the stems green, or even create the stems. On this one I didn't even make a stem yet. Oh, we're going to have that one come out right back here. All the way down. Okay. Trying to do the vase without touching much of the marker so we don't get that bleed, that black bleed in here. That's nice. And what happens is you're just putting color in for your water on your vase. It helps to bleed out the stems that we put in earlier. And if you notice on a vase, when you can see the stems in it, it kind of distorts the stems just a little bit, so they can look not as individual, or they can look like they're curved when they're more straight, and it's just, so that's kind of what happened here when we've put some of the color in. And sometimes there's actually a water line, and you can see, other times not so much. You know that I always like color, so I'm adding just a little bit of color, kind of creating the color that I may or may not be seeing. Okay. Okay, I'm going to stop right here. Oh, you know what? I'm going to make a little bit of a variety on these yellow tulips, because they are, oh good. Did you see that I was able to cover up my marker with this paint? I have enough paint on my brush, which is lovely because the marker was bleeding. And it appears right now that it's not going to bleed into that orange as much as it bled into the yellow before it. So again, we'll hope. And I'll go ahead and kind of go over some of these. And I'm not one that likes to be totally restricted by the lines, and so I'm coming back in a little bit loosely, and I'm not necessarily trying to stay within the lines, and that actually made me create a whole new tulip here. Let's come in and bring him there. I think I'd like to bring in this is the inside of one of the leaves. So I think it would be just a little bit darker there. And by making it darker, it helps the stem to stand out, since the stem is in front of that leaf. Okay, I'm gonna stop for a minute and let it dry, and we can come back and do some different things with it once it's dry. See, that was super easy. Just like painting our tulips, but painting them in a grouping inside the vase. And when I come back in, if everything's dry, then the marker will not bleed with it, and we can maybe create a little texture or maybe a little design in the glass. So I'm just waiting here. I should have brought my heat gun again. I keep talking about that and forgetting to bring it in here. One other thing that I forgot to have you guys do also last time was sign your pictures. So I'm going to do that right now so I don't forget. I'm going to go and do that on these that we did last time. And I just kind of look at it, and sometimes I think the left side looks good, or sometimes I think, oh, I'll put it on this right side, my signature. I think that it may be common knowledge that usually in art it's on the right side, but I don't think it matters. Okay, until that dries, there's really not much we can do with it. Let's just check out. See, we can put some markers on some of the paper that's not wet, but we can't do that to the wet paper. So I'm just going to have to turn this off, and we'll see if we can get it started again. Good luck, guys.